Just looking at this, and I was asking, where does that pile of rubble materialise since you were there?
So basically the house, we came in here 3 years ago and discovered a university campus with a big old kind of Victorian mansion house, and there's about 1,000 student accommodation block. In these piles of rubble and these other buildings, there was about 800 to 1,000 cheap student accommodation places or whatever for students coming to this university. And what's happened, what they're going to turn this into is basically an old people's home for super rich people and luxury houses, and then there'll be a tiny amount of student accommodation and an even tinier amount of social housing. Yeah. Now, we were told by teachers and some other people who used to work here at the university that this land was left for the public of Britain for education, basically for the education of the nation. It's possibly, there's a big tree over there, one of the big oak trees that's about 25 foot wide, that was possibly the oak tree where they sealed the Magna Carta, and the company that owns this, it's an offshore tax haven dodge in Isle of Man, basically wants to turn it into Magna Carta Park and make it a super rich people's place kind of thing. And this was, it was a university campus that was left for education, and should stay
So
as
there is actually, the original objective was eco-village, Occupy movement, XYZ, but there is
people
actually,
came from Occupy, and the aim was to get disused land to
having hit this bit of disused land, there is actually a case to be made for a protest against the development itself.
Yeah, definitely. In a lot of different ways, really. This never should have been sold off. This bit of land is very historic. They tried to sell off a bit of the land down by the Magna Carta Memorial in 1932 or 3, and there was a massive public outcry. And the first woman ever barrister, because women weren't allowed to be barristers up until some point in the 1930s, the first ever woman barrister launched a public campaign and have a massive kick-off hoo-ha, and they basically decided they couldn't sell the bit of land down by Magna Carta Meadows to some developer. And the same should happen up here. It's beautiful. It was the actual history was some kind of ancient hilltop sacred site, then it became an abbey site, and the abbey or priory was owned by the Church of England. Then Henry VIII confiscated them off in the 1500th century or whatever, 1500s, and then it went to a private, lord and lady's family up until 1800s or 1900 something, and then basically she lost some relatives in the war, and she was so sad, the husband and the son had died, that she passed it on for educational purposes. At one point it was the Indian Engineering College, and then it was passed on. Although they did the first tree courses here, learning about hundreds of different trees that have been brought back from all over the British Empire, and then it passed on to, I think, Brunel University, and they had it for quite a while, and a mate of ours was on the board, but he was saying, a guy, one of the Occupy sort of professor guys, but basically this never should have been sold. It was left for education, and the woman who left it in a covenant, the lady, lord or lady in a manor or whatever had it before, basically left it as a covenant for education. That's why it went and became a university, the other things it was used for. And it never should have been sold off, and we're trying to find the details in the covenant that says it was left for the public, see if we can challenge the whole sale, which is what we brought up in the court case, as well as many other things about the Forest Charter and the Magna Carta. And the Forest Charter was the other bit of the near Magna Carta Charter, and it said that people had the right to basically had some rights to sustain themselves from the forest, basically rights to grow food, rights to collect building materials, and to sustain themselves in the forest. And that's what people here, when like Yayan just said to us, he said to you, I'm not an anarchist, I'm just a homeless person, and I had someone to live in, and he lives in a solar powered teepee down there. And if you're homeless on the streets of London or wherever, it's probably better to actually be in some woods in a solar powered teepee, skipping your food and living in a community, than it is to be getting attacked on the streets of London when you've got nowhere to stay.
Should we take this rubbish out?
Yeah, keep recycling. Big up the Backstage recycling crew. Last one up. Come to Runnymede. Just a little decision ratified to have every full moon and new moon to have a music jam here. So look it up on your intranet and all that, and check out any full moon or new moon. Come up to Runnymede. Check out www.runnymede.community and come up here, have a jam and reclaim the land and create more eco-villages. Learn about off-grid.
And if you're any artists who want to play on March in the Park, they've got a piano in the tent down there. Where are we off to now?
We're about going to the RAF Memorial Car Park, and
no, we're going to
Nottingham.
And so who's this lot? What they call
Activist Tack Collective.
Activist Tack Collective. That actually exists.
So, yeah, they're called the Activist Tack Collective, and they lend out marquees and tents to various different projects and protests and things, and we're just taking a marquee back to them in Nottingham.
Right,
Popped
okay.
in Runnymede to pick it up after the Runnymede Festival, where 7 counties of police tried to shut down a festival for democracy. They obviously didn't want, you know, the professor of the Magna Carta coming and telling people about the people's history of the Magna Carta. We had a guy from Kurdistan coming and tell us what was going on for the Kurds have adopted Occupy, non-hierarchical kind of circular ways of organising. And a whole load of other speakers that were denied access. Just here, the police had a kind of cordon set up and they weren't letting people in, including pregnant women who were left crying on the road saying, my sleeping gear's in there, I want to be sleeping in there tonight. And they just shut down a big democratic discussion, basically. It was about 800,000 people going to be turning up, and we had about
800,000?
800 to 1,000.
Oh, I thought you said
800 to 1,000.
800
1,000.
to 1,000, not
And then
800,000.
basically, they closed it down to try to stop people with helicopters and things getting in, and then there's still about 200, 250 people on Saturday night. We had a good
Exclusion
party.
zone, wasn't it?
5 mile exclusion zone, arrest people. A number of people were arrested for breaking the 5 mile exclusion zone. So dangerous discussion on democracy happening at Runnymede.
When they throw up an exclusion zone, that means you're just arrestable for being in that area, right?
Yeah,
Is
if
that
the
what it
police
means?
believe you are going to a rave, they said we believe it's an illegal rave, and I think Rubbish is going to take over there. We believe you're going to be in an illegal rave. If we believe that you're going to a rave, you look like you're someone who's going to a rave, we can tell you to leave the area, and if you don't, or we see you again after telling you, we will arrest you. And they did arrest. I think there's about
Okay,
5
so
or 6
they've got
arrests.
to give you a warning. So if you're in an you can actually enter an exclusion zone and not be immediately arrestable.
Yeah, no, they give you a warning. They say, leave
they'll
if
ask
you
you
are
to
directed
leave.
by a police officer, leave the area, otherwise we can arrest you under the Criminal Justice Act, directions to leave a 5 mile exclusion zone because we believe there's a rave going on. Obviously, someone turns up in a nice tweed jacket and looks pretty straight, they're not going to say anything to them. Somebody turns up in a pair of, tracksuits and looks like they're a raver with a cap, they're going to give it to them.
All right, let's go to Nottingham.
Let's go to Nottingham.
Just spot those lights.